Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Falling Skies Fan Podcast, brought to you by Tiger Prince Entertainment, TPE Network.com. I'm your host, Hank Davis, and joining me via Skype, he is Alex Cruz. How the heck are you, Mr. Alex?
Hey, I'm great. Just want to let everybody know I finally joined the 21st century and got my own Twitter account. So,
Oh, yes.
so you can
Yes.
follow me at TPE Alex Cruz.
And that's Cruz, Cruz.
That's right.
All right. So cool. Yeah, definitely follow Alex. He's awesome.
Hmm.
A little bit of laundry to get out of the way before we start. I've been getting several email about our Shield Agents of Shield fan podcast not being in iTunes yet. I have been going back and forth with them for just over 4 weeks now
Wow.
with this stupid feed. So they finally have escalated me to somebody, who speaks English and and it understands what an RSS feed freaking is instead of going, huh? When I'm talking to them. So this individual contacted me today, and that feed should be up in the next couple days. Should be working because they already put it through. I got an email saying it was submitted already, and then so that means they've stepped up the pressure because I came unglued a little bit on the last little correspondence.
Well, it seems like though they've been kind of pussyfooting around it, and I don't know it's just not that great customer service on their part.
It's been terrible. It has been terrible because it's like you make a correspondence, wait a week, get something back. So I think they send a terrible message. All these companies do because it's like if you just start complaining, that's when they respond, and
Right.
that's a terrible message to send. I don't know, but that's
I
my.
That's right. It is a terrible message. It's like, yeah, we'll get to you when we feel like it.
The show's not even out yet, so what do you guys care? I'm like, we care. We have. How often do you hear people going, "Hey, how can I subscribe to your show on iTunes? Come on, man." You know, you have people waiting to subscribe. How often does that happen? Don't make people wait. The important moral of the story, kids. All right, Alex, let's get into ratings for this edition of Falling Skies.
All right. The official count is now we're at a 3.74, which I checked earlier was more of a 3.8, but I guess they said it was 3.74 with all the final final numbers, which in and of itself is pretty darn good.
Heck yeah.
Um, I'm looking right now, and I must say that 3.74, other than the season premiere, is the best rating thus far. So good
Woohoo.
job.
That is awesome. I just wonder how this works from the perspective of 1 week it's lower, and it may be a bad episode, or not a bad episode, but just not a up to snuff episode. And then whenever we have a really good episode, it seems like everybody tunes in. It's like, how do you know in advance if you're gonna
Yeah,
tune in?
you know what? It's funny because there has been a lot of play on the internet in regards to the mole and stuff, and I think people are like, "Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I might have to check this out." And I think that's what's happening.
That's a great deal.
I mean, there's some interest being stirred up via the internet, and I know one thing. On my Facebook account, I went and checked things out, and they sent me a Lourdes picture with
Oh,
all of those things on her,
oh man,
and it's just
that is still creeping me out, man.
right.
I had to get out my second mast nightlight again this year.
And speaking of which, it's probably a good segue going into Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
Comic-Con, I know last week I was talking about the cool elevator doors. Well, as we know, last year at Comic-Con, they had the harness kits. This year, they did something a little bit differently. They they had like a big bus outside the Comic-Con doors, and you could go in and get one of those face swimmers, I guess we could call them.
Oh yes.
You can have one applied to your face.
Okay.
And then have your picture taken with it, and then again they put it online and everything, and it was pretty cool.
Very cool. That sounds fun too.
Right. And then they had, of course, they had the panel, and not a whole lot of new things were revealed on the panel, so I'm not gonna talk about it. Except our own beloved Maxim Knight, he kind of snuck in the panel.
Nice.
He wasn't. I don't think he was originally scheduled to be in the panel. He was like, "Ha, here I am."
I got in here.
So
nice. And did you see Colin Cunningham's hair?
Yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised, and yeah, it makes me kind of want to see what other things he's been in. I know he's been on a lot of Canadian television.
Yes. Well, shall we get into our recap of Strange Brew?
All right, and another song title. Nice.
Yeah, awesome. Good catch. We hear sounds of fighting, and Tom's coming to. He's waking up to Folgers in his cup and an annoying alarm clock. Plus, bonus points here, his real wife. Woohoo! So, Alex, at this point, let me stop the action. Did you think, at this point, did you go instantly flashback, dream sequence? What did you think?
Okay, well, at that point, I thought flashback.
Yep, me too.
And like, oh, cool, we get to finally meet the wife, and so I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And then as it's gone on, we kind of see some familiar faces.
Yeah, some inconsistencies. So the next part is hilarious to me. My girlfriend and I were watching the show together, and we were just pointing out just, nitpicky, stupid stuff. But it was so funny that it's Christmas time, so he goes outside. The neighbors' yards are just covered in snow, but the Mason home, oh no, it's nearly clean as a whistle. They got a little bit of snow on the roof, and just their yard is green. I was like, wow, that's one heck of a smart storm.
Yeah, things I guess were starting to be suspicious right then and there.
And my favorite part of this whole episode, played beautifully by Tom's real wife. Who's Ann Glass? As he cuts himself shaving. Huh? He cuts himself shaving. I was like, ooh, uh-oh. That's how women will do you guys. Come on. You know it. That's how they do us. They're like, who's so-and-so? You're like, ugh. They want to see that reaction. And boy, did he cut himself. That was a doozy of a cut, too.
And right at this point, you're quite not sure what's going on. It's like, true. Oh, that kind of brought a little bit of suspicion to what's actually going on. And then I think it was the next scene, I know exactly what's going on.
Yes. And I also loved how there were, the razor cut was gone moments later. As he comes downstairs, it's like perfectly fine.
Yeah, but that's something that's pretty consistent within each episode. As soon as you get hurt, you can just shake it off. You'll be fine. Wolverine
time. I mean, they could have put a little piece of toilet paper on his neck. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, it's called continuity. You know what? These big movies have these continuity editors, and you know what? You'd think that they would have something like that too, but I guess not.
Yeah, Alex and I will do it for a fee. So then we have Ben and Hal. They're sparring like brothers do. And then Matt shows up to the table, and I'm like, yep, they couldn't fake this part. They couldn't fake the massive size of these kids now. Because Matt's
Yeah.
like his size. Matt's his size now, you know?
One thing I liked about this episode was seeing the boys interact with one another as if nothing happened.
Yeah, that was
Just
very
like,
cool.
and I thought it was pretty cool, kind of see them, acting as boys, carefree.
Yeah.
And I know that the characters they had to grow up so much, being invaded by aliens and having to fight all those skitters and whatnot. But still, it's good to see them in this light.
I loved it. Loved this dynamic. Love actually the whole episode dynamic of all the characters doing different things. It was very cool. So Denny, did you notice that was Denny that picks up Ben? And then who was Rita that came over and got in the car with Hal? Who is Rita? Is she even a character?
You know what? You know what? I don't. Not that I noticed. And you know what? I didn't notice it was Danny either.
Yeah, Denny was in the vehicle that picked up Ben.
I'll be darned. They got me on that one.
They slipped one by you. And then I was like,
think
who's
I was
Rita?
on my smartphone is what it was.
See? The phone is smart, but it's making all of us dumber. But I was like, who the heck is Rita? Is she somebody that we've seen before? I don't know.
Yeah, not that I can recall. I don't remember that character whatsoever.
And I was thinking to myself, Hal is like a chick magnet, man. He gets to, go through all these different chicks on the show. They've all been interested in him at one point or another. You know what I'm saying? He's got women vying for him left and right. I was like, oh yeah, don't wait up, boys. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, Rita's like a skyscraper compared to Hal, man. She was like a 6-footer easy.
Yeah.
So that was funny. And then here we get our first glimpse of the whole premise of this. When Matt asked Tom, well, where would you go between, Hal's got to decide between Jacksonville and New York. So we get our first glimpse of a weird question of which city would you
And
pick?
so, it's right here, I'm like, oh, they're probing him for something. This is all a big, this is a big fallacy. And so they're trying to get where he's heading.
I love it. So that's when we get our first glimpse of the crazy Weaver hobo character. And he's holding that sign that says, "The end is near." And then Karen's the cop that pulls him away. I was like, oh my goodness. And I'm going to tell you this. On the next scene where Tom's in the school and talking to Pope, my girlfriend said, oh my gosh, he's Paul Revere. She said that before they ever made reference to Paul Revere in this episode. I laugh my butt off when it comes up later.
Who did she say that about? Pope?
Pope. She was like, oh, who's he supposed to be, Paul Revere? I swear to you, that's what she said, and we just laughed.
Okay.
And then later in the episode, they talk about Paul Revere. I was like, very good. If we weren't watching it live, I would have said, you already seen this. So Professor Pope with the big ponytail, I was like, this is great. He can't find his keys. And Lourdes is like, oh, here are your keys. And he's like, yeah, that just happened. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, that's not good. Not a good combo.
And I like how one thing about this episode, as we're moving on, I like how they combined, they used the cast, and not even, as we're gonna find out, cast members that are currently living, but we also come upon former cast members that whose characters ended up kicking the bucket. I know we're coming up upon that shortly as well.
Yeah. I love that Anthony was the dean. That was so out of place, but awesome to me. I was
I think a lot of that it was out of place. I mean, Come on, Pope is a professor. And you know what? Is it Colin Cunningham? Is that his name?
Yeah.
He did such an awesome job as that role. You know what? It made me for a moment want to see a movie or a show in which Colin Cunningham does play that part, kind of as the teacher that rags on all of his co-workers. Sounds like somebody else I know. Oh crap, that's me I'm talking about.
Life imitating art.
I just don't have the cool hair.
And
he doesn't either. He wears a wig.
Exactly. Good call out. And he is a very cerebral actor, and it's such a strange departure that he's, now Pope. Because that character is so simple.
Right.
And it's so cool because he has the chops to play like I said, a more cerebral character, and I love that they let him loose on this episode because it was really cool, really awesome.
Yeah.
So Anthony Zedine, Jean is Tom's secretary, baby bear, and she lets him know that Ann Glass has called again, and Tom is like, huh? Ann Glass. And in his class, he has Maggie and Lourdes in his class. And I'm like, Maggie does not look like a teen in college to me at all.
I don't know. She reminds me of those hot older women who get to college a little later. And
are you speaking from experience or what?
I'll plead the fifth on that one.
Oh no. Oh no. All right, where are we at? So Tom is having Ann Glass memory problems, and then we get to Cochise minus the makeup. He's talking to Marina, and they're sitting there trying to decide, well, where should we go? New York, Chicago, Jacksonville, or stay in town, Boston?
And you know what? I wonder how many people picked up on that. They called him Dr. C. I was like, oh, Dr. Cochise. And it was Doug Jones, and I happen to know that Doug Jones played the part of Cochise. And if it wasn't for me watching the Fallen Skies thing that Wesley Crusher does, I probably wouldn't have known that. And that was neat seeing him actually act outside of being in makeup, because as we know, Doug Jones also played
Hellboy. He was in Hellboy.
Characters in Hellboy, yeah, and he was a
heavy costume.
Yeah,
which is cool. That's just his. He's typecast that way. He's kind of got that skinny build, and I think that they like that for doing all these different makeup things.
Because as we know, boys and girls, people about our age, they're not that skinny.
No.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. So I was thinking to myself, there's what's up with these cities? I was thinking at that point, and then Crazy Weaver is outside. He had pretty much limited speaking in this episode, but boy, was his stare powerful. The way he was just stare at Tom.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Will Patton.
Was good.
His ability was off the charts in this episode. And you know what? I want to hand it to the whole cast.
Yes.
In this episode, because this was kind of like a different reality than what we're used to with them, and a lot of them were playing different roles.
Yes. And I could have seen where somebody would have said, like, oh crap, what's the heck, what the heck's going on with this big departure from everything? But I absolutely love them being outside of their normal roles and getting to see some of them actually act, know, and dig in was just awesome to me. I was grinning the entire episode, like, oh, this is awesome. Oh, that's so cool. I'm marking out at every turn. And this is the point where Di returns right here. So Di shows up. He's Ann Glass's husband. So which is
and boy,
where are you
does
taking
he go
her?
on a rant? And this rant is so big that I will argue that this is probably the most that this actor has said in this TV series with
Ever.
ever combined with. I mean, if you put season 1 and season 2, combine them, it's that poor guy don't have this much dialogue.
Get the bikes ready. Okay.
You know what? And I hate to say it, that's about it. And yeah,
It was
and
awesome.
unfortunately, this is his only appearance, and it will be his only appearance this season.
Oh, that sucks. Oh man, that sucks.
But
so
still,
bad.
it's still good to see him though.
It's something's better than nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Even though if you guys read the comic book, the Dark Skies comic book, and you can read it for free off the website or go to darkhorsecomics.com. And Dai has has a more prominent role than what was portrayed in the TV series.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
So the actor's name is Peter Shinkoda,
Yeah.
and he does a great job as Dai. But the people that I blame is the writers.
Yeah, I would blame
And
them.
so,
I would blame
and
them for sure.
do you want to hear something else?
What's that?
He was one of the original actors in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Awesome. Wow, that dates him. That's awesome.
Holy cow! I think it dates all of us. And the Masked Rider, Therian. I don't know if that was one of the Rangers or just another character. But
That is so cool. All right, it's back to Boston, New York, Chicago, or Jacksonville. Where are you taking my wife? Which city? And I'm like, what is the deal with these cities? I'm like, what the heck? So Pope comes in, and Pope is pretty much Pope no matter what character he's trying to portray, because he's giving Tom a little bit of a hard time. And that's when Crazy Weaver again gets pulled away by Karen. And Pope is like, well, which city are you taking Ann? Again, I'm like, what the heck? Leave this dude alone. And so they kind of just quickly twist right into Tom being back at home. And he's like asking his wife, you know, who's Ann Glass? And I'm like, why would you ask her? And she's like, you feel hot. I'm going to call Dr. Raskin. Who is that? Who is Dr. Raskin?
oh, you know who they're talking about? They're talking about
The doc from season 1, or?
no.
who?
No, they're talking about what's his name's character? Robert Sean Leonard's character.
The OCD
Yeah,
crazy dude?
yeah.
Kadar?
Kadar. I guess that's what I assumed they were talking about.
I kind of thought that, I guess, but then I started to question, like, is it somebody from past seasons that I don't recall or something like that? That's what I started to second guess myself on that.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first person I thought of, and then I'm like, maybe they're talking about the guy from Wings, but that wasn't his name. He was something else.
Okay.
He had a different name. So I was like, well, I'm kind of lost on that. So maybe some of the listeners know what they meant there. They can email us or leave us a voicemail or use the SpeakPipe widget on the website. All right, just then we're transformed back to the old university, and there's a knock on Tom's door, and a little note from Ann Glass is slid underneath. I was like, this is so crazy. They just keep throwing her at us without showing her. And so Pope is there with some more witty banner. I was like, great. And then Tom's questioning the reality of his life. And that's when Weaver's character shows up again, appears out of thin air. And then Ben shows up at the office, and he pulls out a crumpled up Ann Glass note and stuff. And he's like, well, which city are you going to? Which city are you going to go to? I'm like, oh my gosh, quit it.
Now
And
I felt like I missed something because I didn't see how Ben got that note.
me neither. It didn't make any sense, to be honest with you. Why he had the crumpled up note. And
Yeah,
where would he have gotten that from? Because Tom wouldn't have taken that home, would he?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So I was like, that didn't, like you said, it just kind of didn't fit. So I agree with you 100%. But we already know the deal. We knew what was going on a little bit
Right.
already. But, just from a reality standpoint, it'd be like, okay, how'd you get this again?
Yeah.
And so Tom gets that text. He gets a text from Ann, and he's like, "Oh, I'm out of here, and stay away from me." He says to Ben. I was like, "Wow, that's kind of messed up."
You know what? I'm starting to think. I was starting to think right then and there he was suspecting something.
Yeah, yes, he did. He knew something was wrong. Something was way wrong.
Yeah.
So then we come to the Rubenesque and Glass. She's still looking a little thick. And she's all smiles and she's ready to pick out their trip. Okay, so you're going to have to pick between these 4 cities. And the one is right where they're at. So he's like, well, that's not a trip or something, he says. And she's like, well, yeah, it's cold. We could just stay here or whatever and stuff. I was like, that makes no sense. She had brochures. So
Yeah.
a brochure for a city you're already in makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
All right. So Creepy Weaver is outside again. So Tom tells Anne that he doesn't know her. And she says, she thought the point was to blow up their world. When she said that, I was like, that's too conspicuous. He's like, you're trying to blow up my world or something? And I thought the point was to blow up your world. I was like, oh, that's way too alien and too conspicuous right there. And it's
So it almost like gave it away, or maybe it did give it away because, like I said, I think Tom was knowing that something's not right here.
yeah, there's something obviously wrong. And Weaver is kind of to the rescue a little bit here. So because everybody wants to know, where are you taking your wife? And that's when he finally comes to, and he's got that face hugger on him. And Karen's like, you figured it out in record time. And she's the one that's pushing all the buttons to get info out of him. And did you fall for this? That it was rescue time from the Mason boys and Weaver and Pope? Did you think that was real at that time or no?
No, because
How would they have gotten back there?
exactly.
Yeah.
How would they have known?
They wouldn't have. And I was telling my girlfriend as soon as it happened, I goes, because she jumped off the couch celebrating that Karen got shot in the freaking head. And I go,
That's how I knew that this wasn't right, because Karen got shot in the head. It's like they wouldn't kill her off like that.
no. And my girlfriend's like, yes. And I goes, you realize this is just a dream sequence? And she goes, I don't care. Somebody needed to get her. When people hate you through their TV, you're doing your job as a bad person.
Which to me, I find it ironic because the character of Karen was so likable before she was captured by the Skidders, and now she's just this deceptive thing. In fact, she doesn't even have the harness on anymore, but she has something, something's there.
And I have not brought this up before, and I wasn't going to, but I must, since we kind of talked about Karen and her character, how she changed and is very unlikable now, but it's just a character. But sadly, one of our listeners said some very how shall I put it, some very mean things to her, to the real actress,
Oh, Jesse Schramm?
on Twitter. Yes.
Oh, no.
You know, it was something to the effect of die, be, die. And she responded to her. And she was like, whoa, that's uncalled for. And then they kind of sorted it all out. But I was like, wow, how, you know, how crazy is that the character gets under your skin so bad that you do that you tweet that to the real actress. Thought that
Yeah,
was,
I follow Jesse Schramm on Twitter, and yeah, guys and girls, we know that this is a fantasy show. Please don't take it out on the
actor.
cast.
Yeah, that I think that's just too far.
Yeah, I mean they have no control over that.
It got all sorted out, but it was very
still,
uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. Even reading the thread was not good.
Well, with you saying that, I'm uncomfortable with it, and think that whoever had that account is very lucky that that nothing more was done about it.
You aren't kidding, because if somebody does that to me, I'm going straight to the FBI.
Oh heck yeah! We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out where they live.
Exactly.
And I won't tell you what we're gonna do after that.
It's classified. It's above top secret. Tom wakes up in the hospital bed, and I said to my girlfriend, when he goes, how long have I been out? I said 2 days, before he even said a word. And he said 2 days, and she looked at me like, oh my gosh, you are such a nerd. So that was pretty predictable. And I already knew it was a dream inside of a dream. Did you know it was still a dream at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. And this was one of the best parts that we're trying to trick him. When he goes into the briefing room where Weaver and company are all in there, and he was like, oh, Tom, I was just about to brief the team, but I'll let you do it. All right, lay out the map of the city that we're going to hit. And they're just...
It's like, come on.
These 4 cities are just labeled right there. I'm like, oh my gosh. These same stupid cities. It seems like you would come up with something a little slicker, a little more, you know, secretive than that was just too blatant to me.
Yeah, it was too obvious.
Lay out the map, Tom.
Come on, Tom's not a dumb person.
No, he's way too smart. So I wonder if this is their intelligence being way too intelligent to kind of be able to make things natural. You know, I wonder if that's the story the writers are trying to create.
Yeah, I sorry, but I think the writers did an awesome job in this episode.
Oh yeah, I do too.
And I don't think I changed a thing with what they did.
Okay. Because I think they did that on purpose. Like, they're trying to create it to where it's like these intelligent beings are so intelligent that they have a hard time making things seem natural when they want information. Where they could have went about this a whole different way. We can talk about that later, though. All right, so that's when Tom shoots Weaver right in the friggin' head, and then it's Groundhog Day with the face hugger. He's like, that's what that thing was, is a face hugger. And so Karen says she'll pain stick his infant daughter if he doesn't talk, man. I was like, you are a sick human being if you're going to do that. That is so sick. I wonder how an infant would take the pain stick. I was like, oh, that's messed up, dude.
Like, come on.
All right. So back at Charleston, Maggie is keeping watch, and she spots a stray dog. I see something moving out there, and it was just a stray dog. And Pope makes a joke, like a reference, like, yeah, it kind of looks like your boyfriend or whatever, you know. And then he's like, you realize the Hal's never, ever coming back. In fact, he's probably dead by now. And that's when she kind of flips on Pope a little bit. And then Lyle steps in, and Pope starts changing his tune. Hey, be on the lookout for the Masons, because they'll be back before no time. I was like, brother, we know you're just being a jerk.
Yep.
At that point. What did you think about the next scene where Anthony flat out, we have a voicemail that touches on this too.
Okay.
so I guess we could save it for then, but we'll just run through it. But Anthony's like, hey, everybody here has an alibi except for you, Madam President.
And you know what? I they he could have, those words could have come out from my own mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't, and I know this was touched upon, but she would have had like some type of guards knowing exactly what she does at all times, even though like, oh, she was locked behind the door and she could have left got out a window and stuff. And I was like, I think she would.
Yes.
What's that?
Seems far-fetched.
Yeah.
Is what I was thinking.
Extremely far-fetched.
And what was up with her saying, I'm not in the habit of sleeping with my bodyguards? What was that about?
I don't know.
I thought that was very like I don't know, out of place.
Forthcoming and not real. Yeah.
I don't sleep with the help or something, one of those lines.
Yeah, I mean, I still something about her that still isn't quite right, and hopefully I'm right about this gut feeling, and it more will be revealed. But I think it's kind of cool. Weaver's already making plans without her, without her approval.
So I guess we were dead wrong about her and Weaver kind of having something going on. Mm-hmm. More personal. I guess we're wrong about that. Would you say?
Oh yeah.
All right.
But you know what? There might be some of that tension between the two.
It seems like they're building it like that, but this episode kind of deflated it a little bit.
Yeah, because he was all right. We might have to take her out.
And he goes to Pope like immediately after that scene and was like, you know what? It's pretty obvious, that she is a suspect or something, something to that effect.
Right.
And Pope is like, yeah, I mean, everything that seems to happen seems to be kind of cascading around her moves. And he goes, when you challenged her, you put a big target on your back. Stuff. And earlier Weaver was like, I wish Tom was here. And Pope again says he's not here and he's never ever coming back. Again, he kind of uses that same language of the Masons are gone and they're not coming back. And I thought that was kind of curious that he continues to propagate that. Did this make any sense? I understand what the payoff on this, where Maggie stops Weaver, but did it make any sense that she wants to be on the first team because she wants a crack at Karen? Karen won't be in the front of the line. I hope she knows that, right?
Well, I think her blood is pumping and boiling, and she wants a piece of her.
Because Weaver's like, the first people in are the ones that are going to get killed. I hope you know that. You know what I mean? He's just kind of laid it out to her. And I was thinking to myself, like, Karen's not going to be on, she's not going to be at the front of the line against your front of the line. She's going to be in the back.
Right.
So you'd be smart to just wait until it thins out a bit. You can tell I come from a military family. Let it thin out, son, and then go in. All right. All right. Just then a bomb, a nondescript bomb goes off, just then, and blows Weaver over, huff and puff and blow him right over. But if he wouldn't have been stopped, oh my gosh, that would have been it. That would have been over for him. His character would have really been a hobo.
Well, I was worried about Maggie, too. I was like, oh, crap, she got hit, too, by that.
We got some shrapnel. And did you believe this part, or do you believe this part? When Karen says that she's pretty much, I guess, killed Anne and Alexis. Did you believe that at all? I don't believe that at all. She's got those, it looks like them inside that hot dog casing or whatever you want.
No, because Alexis is way too important for them.
This is true. Yeah, they have not moved that story arc along of what her birth is going to create.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're right about that. That's excellent. The radio has been destroyed, and Weaver takes the time to thank Maggie for stopping him and bugging him, or else he would have been in there. And then she's like, "Can I be on the first team now?" He's like, "Yeah, it's your funeral. Go right ahead." And here's one of my candidates right here, or just a scene that deserves a stupid Mike Award. Anthony's rubbing his fingers together. Yeah, the bomb residue looks as finny. How would you possibly know that?
I don't know. Maybe there's a tint of green or something in there. I don't know.
This bomb residue looks like.
There's mucus on here. It has to be them.
I was just like, okay, you just got the stupid award right there, because that just was so. It was unnecessary to me. I mean, who cares where it came from? Who executed it? Unless you have Ishfini running around your base. It's like, who executed who went in there? Let's roll back some cameras or something. I don't know. All right, so Tom is on the floor with grief over what Karen has said to him about Anne Glass and the baby. And then Karen clues us in on her poor track record with the Overlord. She was like, "They're really disappointed with me." I have to have this information, Tom. And stuff. I was like, that is awesome.
They're gonna kick my butt. They're gonna kick me out of the club.
Yeah, they're gonna kick me out of this role I shouldn't even have.
Yeah, I didn't buy that at all.
No, I didn't either. So Tom says he still won't talk. And the grids are starting to fire up. And Karen's like, you know what? Let's go outside. It's a nice moonlit night. We can watch the grids go up together. So I thought this was really dumb. And we have an email about this, so I won't steal her thunder. But they walk out to the ledge. And then we get that cool light show. Mm-hmm. And then Tom just takes a skidder for a ride, like a parachute. And lets him be the cushion on the ground. So we have an email about that. So I will you want me to insert it right now?
I think now would be a good time to do that.
Okay. Hi guys, love the podcast. I think that Tom is still under the mind control of Karen and not truly free yet. He is free to walk on a ledge with Karen and he's unrestrained. Then he survives a super long fall and meets absolutely no resistance on his way out of the area, where you would assume there would be hundreds of skidders. Then he just happens to walk to his old house and have an encounter with his wife that does seem more realistic than the previous encounters, since it's a dream sequence and it can be, explained away by him. Potentially the extra work in this dream state could finally trick him into revealing the plan when he meets up with his kids. This is just her theory next week. Just a theory I have floating around, Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca, for that email. And I will say I agree with part of that it just seemed too unrealistic that he would be allowed to just walk on that ledge like that. And then he survives that fall with, like, even though there's a skidder under him. I mean, just think of that for a second. You still got the velocity, even though the skidder's taking the brunt of the blow. You still have all that velocity and then all those bones that could break and stab you and all that.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of like gets up and kind of like hobbles away a little bit. And it's like, you're telling me there's not hundreds of skidder right there? I agree with that part.
Yeah,
seems fishy.
And you know what? I hate to bring this up, but I think that the preview for next week kind of spoiled some things too.
Okay, we'll throw that in the spoiler zone.
Once more.
We'll throw that in the spoiler zone and we'll discuss that then, because I'm curious to see what I want to hear what your take on, because I watched a preview 3 times. I want to hear what you noticed, and we'll compare notes. Did you find it odd that Maggie really didn't question Lourdes saying, "Oh, I love the lights, oh, those lights are so awesome." And Maggie's like, "It looks kind of like a prison to me." Do you think that was weird?
Yeah, it's funny because I think that's the show kind of tipping their hat to us because we know and nobody else knows yet.
Okay.
And so it's like, oh, come on.
You know what's going on, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Hint, hint, she's the mole. Weaver gives us a passionate speech to rally the troops. And then Marina, she stops him, and they have that awkward exchange about, her needing him to not overthrow the government with military force, and him saying, "Yeah, I am the right guy for the job, and I'll help you out," and all this
Right.
jazz. And I thought it was just kind of awkward because I don't know. Weaver just doesn't. He seems like he's suspicious, and rightfully so. But he don't seem like he's gonna do anything rash where he's gonna just overthrow the entire government and stuff. I didn't think. I never thought that.
You know what? You didn't think he was capable because he's kind of a follow things by the book type guy.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's kind of thinking outside the box. Oh, what'll happen if this president is actually our mole? We're gonna have to take her out.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And now we see that Pope or Weaver goes right back to Pope again, man, and that is such a strange alliance to me that I don't know what to make of it so far. But he goes back to Pope again, and they're going through with the mission, but the president doesn't need to know. I was like, that's awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. And just then the Mason boys show up, minus their dad, and Maggie greets them. And she's like, "Where's Tom?" And they cut to the scene where Tom's at the old house. And I was thinking to myself, or is he still dreaming?
Now, one thing I thought about this was, how the heck did he get to Boston so quickly?
Thank you.
But at the end of this scene, we see one of those towers. So I'm thinking, well, you know what? That's where they took him to.
Yeah.
But would have that been that tower that was destroyed and they just rebuilt it?
Ooh. That's a good thought. I don't know because it has to be close proximity, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so
That's a good point.
They lifted him away when they captured him. They lifted him away, took him to Boston, is what they did.
That is a good point, and it just don't make much sense. I guess I don't know. I really want to see next week's episode to see if they explain this away a little, quickly early in the episode, because the distance stuff, it's so hard to tell if they're just taking the shortcut writing like we've talked about before, or if they're trying to give us a clue that, hey guys, this isn't realistic, is it? And I can't wait to see that. Shall we get into feedback?
Yep.
All right. This one is from James. So, hey Hank and Alex, welcome back to another edition of Falling Skies, the fan mail. So let's get something out of the way quickly. I complain sometimes about unoriginal scripts. So when Commander Riker woke up and spoilers for a 20-year-old show, Star Trek The Next Generation. So when Commander Riker woke up and was 16 years into the future, sorry, wrong TV show. The Dream State script has been done a few times before. Stargate did it 5 times, but it was well done, so let's give a bit of credit when credit is due. Anyway, I will get back to my comments instead of just rambling on. Speaking of rambling on, Di is back. Jeez, Di, shut up. You talk too much. Blah, blah, blah. This is the one time Di gets to say anything, and we all shut him down. That's awesome. Wow, after nearly losing the planet and the majority of its population, the United States finally produces a president that won't sleep with the help. Oh,
Nice.
no, oh, that's epic. Epic, epic, epic. Top tip of the day. Don't stand near a cliff with a guy that wants to kill you. That Skitter nearly got the stupid Mike award. Oh, I'm thinking that Skitter might actually win the award. So even though Maggie knows there are harnesses and eye worms that make people slaves to the Skitters, she completely trusts the Mason boys after they have been away for 2 weeks. Maggie is the most trusting sentry ever. Oh man, she would fall for a doppelganger, wouldn't she?
She's done it before.
Stupid Mike Award recipient Tom Mason for dreaming about Maggie being in his class and then just talking to her about history. You're such a geek, Mason. Well, thanks again, guys, for another week of Falling Skies, and thanks to everyone else for participating. Oh, and I forgot to say spoiler alert on the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation from 20 years ago. James from Melbourne. Yes.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Love
Thanks,
it.
James. I really appreciate that.
I
That's
live
great.
for those. I live for those emails. He's hilarious. The next, the last one we have is voicemail from Rick from Wisconsin. So I'm gonna stop it a couple times, Alex. I will pot you down while I play it, but I'm gonna stop it a couple times so we can discuss some of the points he makes.
Okay.
Hey, this is Rick from Wisconsin calling for the Falling Skies podcast. I want to say I thought this week's episode was a very good one. It was different, being that the first seemed like a quarter of it at least was all inside Tom's head. My wife and I were speculating because as soon as he hit that alarm clock, I said he's either dreaming or, maybe he's in a coma and the aliens are messing with his mind type thing. My wife thought maybe it was a flashback, but then pretty quickly I said, well, why did he have a dream about an alien invasion if it was a flashback? Because it didn't really make sense to me. So I thought, we've only seen that several times before in other shows, so who knows, it was predictable in a certain sense of saying, he's been captured, they're doing something with his head, they want information from him. On the other hand, those types of episodes sometimes are good for giving you information about the character, what's going on inside his head, things like that. It wasn't so bad as far as that goes. I didn't really...
I'm gonna stop it right there for just a second. I agree with him on getting to look inside Tom's head.
Right.
Getting to see that interaction with his wife firsthand really put a good stamp on what his family life was like for me. And that's something.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh, go ahead.
I totally agree. We see that glimpse of what life was like before the invasion.
And
I said this earlier. I love the boys' interaction, and more than that, you get to see Tom's wife, and I thought it was really neat. And then at the end of the episode, when Tom visits his house, and she's actually laying there right next to him and saying, "No, just let me go." And I was like, "Ooh, ghosts! All right, we're a little bit of experts on that topic."
Yeah, we're pretty good ghost hunters. But I agree. That was awesome to see that interaction and to see that awesome family structure that they have.
Yeah.
I loved it. All right, I'm going to continue.
really have too many of those moments in this episode where I thought that the writing was really stupid. I enjoyed how bold they were in talking to the president about basically we can account for everybody's whereabouts except you, and I liked that. But it got me sidetracked for a moment in my head thinking, and she says she's the president of the new United States, and I thought, what exactly are these new United States? Are they in communication with other states, other areas? Because I don't see much of that in the show. I can't remember it. You know, maybe they referenced it in a different earlier season or something, but it doesn't seem. It seems like they're in Charleston, like they're on their own. And I thought to myself, did the aliens just invade the United States, or they invaded the whole world? Because wouldn't it be the world against the aliens? So I know she's obviously not president of the world, but I don't think she's president of much else either.
Awesome. And I'm going to stop it right there for a second, because they have not done a good job of making this look like a global invasion. He is 100% correct. That's one thing that this show has failed to do. Do you agree, Alex?
Yeah, well, see, if I can tie this in with Revolution is kind of the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, it's and then if I could go back even further with Jericho, have you ever followed that television show? It was with all the nukes going off. It was much the same way. We only saw what happened to the United States and not much else in the other part of the world.
Yeah.
But with Revolution, though, you knew that there were other areas of the country.
Yes. Now,
with Falling Skies, you don't.
I will say this. I did a little bit of research, and I will say in episode 3 of season 1, Prisoner of War, Porter references that they've contacted other human resistance militia groups in the outskirts of Chicago, and they've talked to resistance cells in Oklahoma and Texas, and human resistance cells as far away as California. But other than that episode, I really didn't see anything where they talk about that. And this show has failed to, in my opinion, failed to give you a good, I don't know, a nice panoramic view of this is happening every freaking where. Everybody's getting their butts kicked, and all that stuff. It's just
right.
That's the part I think the show really failed on.
I mean, it's a cool idea that they give you that should be fleshed out more.
Definitely.
But it's kind of like it's kind of like the older brother in Happy Days that he's kind of forgotten and just written off entirely. And I'm almost, and you know what, I hate to say this, but the Volm are quickly going into this way too, because the very little is said about the Volm except for the weapon, and their presence isn't as great as it was at the beginning of the season.
You're killing me, man. You're comparing.
So
what was his name? What was his name? Chuck?
Chuck.
Okay, so you're comparing the Volm to Chuck Cunningham.
Exactly.
That is so awesome, Alex. I love it, man. I love it.
And pretty soon the Volm will probably be written out, just like that idea that you stated that they were in contact with other groups. See, I don't know. Again, it's a continuity issue that there needs to be a continuity editor for this TV show, and there's not.
Hire me, please.
Or if there is, they need to be fired because they're doing a half-assed job at it.
Thank you, and I will tell them the straight truth if they hire me. All right, let's finish his voicemail up.
So, as just kind of a side note to me, it's one of the things that I kind of think is strange. But in the end, they're building up towards this finale, and it'll be an interesting question to see, will they trust Tom when he makes his way back? Trying to figure out what mode of transport he's going to find. It's going to take quite a while walking to get back to Charleston from Boston. But overall, would say it was a good episode, and I can't wait to see how the season ends up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rick. That's awesome stuff. Great stuff to touch on, because it brings up a lot of questions, and that's what we want.
Right, and like I stated earlier in last episode, we're right now with this season, we're at the point of no return, and we're quickly moving towards the finale, and I think that's why things have been so great the last 2 episodes.
True, because we were getting a little concerned, around episode 5, We were kind of getting a little concerned that they were dragging the mole stuff out a little too long and such. And then, man, the payoff seems like it's going to be really good, but we'll see. We'll have to reserve judgment.
Well, I sure hope it is.
Me too. It's got to be. It's got to be. Well, Alex, do you want to let the people who want to be unspoiled, the unsullied, go? While we
how about we for a couple things we need to do before we do that.
Yes.
We need to rank the episode. We also need to deliver the Stupid Mike Memorial Award.
Let's do it. What do you rate this episode?
Okay, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I rate it a 9.
I give it a 9 as well. I had that made up in my mind. I've watched this episode 2.5 times. I love it.
And so then what's really cool about the next episode, Commander Riker himself, I know we mentioned him earlier, he's directing, so that's going to be cool.
Oh, yes. Kick butt. Now it's that time where, somebody unfortunately has to get the Stupid Mike Memorial Award. And who's your vote headed towards, Alex?
With them trying to do stupid stuff to Tom, I would say either the whole-ish Finney or what's her name gets it.
I couldn't agree more, because it was just so obvious, like, here, pick one of these brochures, and just stupid stuff like that. I was like,
it's like, come on, Tom's not
he's
dumb.
not dumb. No, not at all. I agree. All right, if the Ashfini could please lower their mothership down to the podium and receive the Stupid Mike Memorial Award for their dumb tactics in this episode. Thank you.
And I think Karen will accept on their behalf.
I mean, she's harnessed. What else is she going to do? So, folks, if you want to follow TPE Network, we are at TPE Network on Twitter and at TPE Alex Cruz on Twitter. So check us out on there. You get to see when the show's released and all the little bannery stuff that we do. And at TPE Network follows you back if you follow us. Anything else, Alex, before we move to the super secret spoiler zone?
No, from looking at the previews, somehow the only this is a slight spoiler alert, but as I think we all took for granted, Tom was going to come back, so
yeah,
he returns to Charleston, and and he has the Barry Allen Flash speed, so he can run faster than the Dickens. Everybody, and he's back to Charleston in record time.
He's like Usain Bolt. He's a Kenyan, this guy. Oh. All right, so if you don't want to be spoiled, which we don't really have a lot of spoilery stuff in here, I don't think. We're speculating. I'm going to speculate wildly. We will bid you adieu, and we will see you next week.
All right, see ya.
Warning, incoming spoilers. All right, let's talk about that preview a little bit. So what was the main thing that you saw in that preview that got your thinking?
It was the main mistrust of Tom Mason when he does return.
Yes.
Everybody's like, "Oh, you got those in you. We can't trust you."
Because he was like, "How do you know I don't have one of those in me?" or something to Pope, and Pope's like, "Oh, I'm banking on it. I'm counting
exactly.
I'm counting on you having one in you and stuff." I was like, "Oh crap, here we go." And then it just kind of brings together that argument that I had before of how come you don't have some kind of technology that can, this is like a body scanner at an airport,
right?
Where you could tell, like, hey, you got some bugs in you, or you don't, or you're clean, or they gotta have some kind of if Anthony can wipe his finger on an exploded radio and go, "Looks as Finney to me," then you should be able to have the VOM should have some technology.
And you know what? That's something that, like I said, the first episode we see this new VOM technology, and you know what? You haven't seen any VOM technology really since.
No. I mean, a potato, that deharnessing machine, and the gun. That's
and
about it.
and as my daughter calls them, the pew pew gun.
And what was up with that in the preview where Tom's shooting the Volm gun?
I don't know.
What did you think that was? Because are you wondering, as I am, is this the real Tom? A, B, is he still dreaming at all? I mean, did any of those things cross your mind?
So it looks like it's the popular vote with a lot of the fans that Tom is indeed still have this mask thing on him
Okay.
and still being controlled that way to get information.
Yes.
Just just to mess with them, because he said, well, I'm not going to give you any more information. And then so I think they're thinking, well, that's okay. We're just going to mess with you then.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you go back, but we're just going to mess with you.
That's what because it like that email was saying, that getaway seems too easy. You know, it just seems too easy. Like if I had a super duper headquarters and stuff, am I just gonna have one skidder with me, helping me? You know, I mean, either that if that's the case, she's super arrogant then. You know, where she's so cocky or something. I don't know. I just thought it was weird.
No, they're all angry with her and they're going to fire her.
You're fine.
See, I didn't buy that line either.
No, they're upset with me. I'm not. You know, my tactics aren't working to their standards or something. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes no sense. But next question, Your Honor. So I'm really hoping that they resolve this early into the episode, as far as let us in on behind that fourth wall if he's awake or not. But they probably won't.
You know what? That's probably something that'll be saved for the season finale.
Oh, don't say that. Do you think so? You think they would push us like that?
I think so.
Oh, that would suck.
And you know what? You think about it. You only got 2 more episodes left.
Yes.
So that's not really a long time.
No, it's not. But I tell you what, that's a gamble, man. Because you're gonna tick some people off if you.
Heck yeah.
If you go too far with that, that trickery stuff. I don't know. Some big swerve. Something's got to happen. Some big swerve's got to happen at the end in order to give the fans a payoff that's gonna last.
Well, I hope there's some type of payoff.
10 months.
Because as we know, we're going into a season 4.
Yes.
And I don't know how much longer the big question is, how much longer can one go with the rest of the season or the rest of the series?
You and I talked about this in season 1. And I think both of us said 4 max. I think both of us said that. I should try to find that.
Yeah, they shouldn't go over 4.
I don't think they should either. But
I mean, it was kind of like Battlestar Galactica. It didn't go over 4, and even though the ratings were at an all-time, well, probably not an all-time high, but they were high to renew it keep on going forever if they really wanted to. They'd say, no, we got a story to tell. We knew right from the get-go where the story was going to end, and this is where it's going to end.
That's the one thing about this show that I'm worried about, is it doesn't seem like it seems like they know where this is going to go, but if this season was any indication, what if they wouldn't have got renewed? I mean, they would have left us with some half-baked ending or something?
Well,
I think they knew ahead of time, dude. I think they
could have, but you know what? At least we would have had some type of ending, unlike V, which we didn't get any ending.
That's awesome. No ending for you. Okay. Anything else that stuck out to you?
Nope.
Okay.
I hope. Again, I probably should have stayed this in the non-spoiler episode because it's not spoilerific whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
But come on, guys, we want to see more of the Volm.
Yeah, they have to hurry up with that. They've got to get them on camera. It makes little sense that we don't. I mean, we see in the preview Cochise is going to be on, but
yeah,
where are the rest of them? And they could have done so many like District 9 type references within Charleston if they would have tried to integrate them into Charleston.
And it's not only that, but also too the rebel skidders.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're out in hiding right now because nobody seems to trust them or whatnot. But come on.
And then we don't understand their succession plan either.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to step up.
They're dying left and right.
Yeah, old painted dude didn't last. He didn't last long at all. Don't paint your face is the moral of the story. Blend in. All right. I guess that'll do it then. Folks, we thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this episode and tune in every week. Share us with your friends, your family, your neighbor, your dog. Let him get a download in there because we need it. For Alex Cruz, I'm Hank Davis. Until next time, we're signing off.
See ya.